Carmilla. I lived with my father in a lonely but beautiful castle, hidden among dense forests in Styria. Our life was quiet and orderly, far removed from towns and society. I had grown used to solitude, though at times it weighed heavily on me. My mother had died when I was very young, and aside from my father, I had little companionship. Still, the stillness of the countryside felt safe, and our days passed peacefully. One evening, a strange accident occurred near our home. A carriage crashed on the road, close to the castle gates. From the wreckage emerged a young woman of remarkable beauty, pale and dark-haired, who appeared weak and unwell. Her name was Carmilla. The woman accompanying her claimed to be her mother, though her manner was hurried and secretive. She explained that urgent business forced her to continue traveling, and she begged my father to take Carmilla in for a few weeks until she could return. My father, kind and generous, agreed at once. From the moment Carmilla entered our home, I felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity, as though I had known her long ago. Carmilla herself seemed equally affected. She gazed at me with intense emotion and spoke of a dream from her childhood in which she had seen a girl exactly like me. Her words unsettled me, yet I was drawn to her. She was affectionate, gentle, and spoke with deep feeling about love and devotion. Still, there was something strange about her moods. At times she was warm and lively. At others, distant and gloomy, as if weighed down by a sorrow she could not share. Carmilla kept unusual habits. She slept late into the afternoon and rarely joined us in the morning. She avoided religious objects and became uncomfortable when prayers were spoken. Though she often joined me on walks, she refused to venture into the nearby ruined chapel or cemetery. When questioned, she laughed softly or changed the subject, dismissing concerns with charming ease. As weeks passed, my health began to fail. I grew tired, weak, and troubled by vivid dreams. Night after night, I felt a strange sensation, as if something pressed upon my chest. In my dreams, I saw a dark figure approaching my bed, her face both beautiful and terrifying. I woke with my heart racing and a feeling of dread that lingered throughout the day. My strength faded, and dark marks appeared on my skin, which the doctors could not explain. At the same time, rumors spread through the countryside. Young women in nearby villages were falling ill with similar symptoms: weakness, strange dreams, and slow decline. Some had already died. Physicians were confused, and fear grew quietly among the people. Despite my suffering, Carmilla showed intense concern for me. She held my hands, whispered affectionate words, and claimed her love for me was deeper than friendship. At times, her closeness frightened me. Her gaze felt too intense, her touch lingering too long. When I expressed unease, she laughed gently and said love always frightened those who had never truly felt it. My father, worried about my health, invited a respected doctor to examine me. He could find no physical cause for my illness, but suggested that something unnatural might be involved. Soon after, a nobleman named General Spielsdorf arrived at our castle. He was an old friend of my father and appeared deeply shaken by recent events. He told us of his niece, a young girl who had fallen ill after welcoming a mysterious guest into her home, a beautiful young woman who closely matched Carmilla's appearance. The girl had died, and strange events followed her burial. As the general spoke, Carmilla grew visibly agitated. She complained of headaches and left the room abruptly. I noticed fear in her eyes for the first time. The general later confided to my father and the doctor that he believed his niece had been destroyed by a vampire. At first, the idea seemed impossible, something belonging only to old legends. Yet the similarities between our experiences were impossible to ignore. Soon afterward, I became so weak that I could barely leave my bed. One night, I awoke and saw Carmilla standing beside me. Her expression was no longer gentle, but fierce and hungry. I screamed, and she vanished into the darkness. The next morning, she appeared calm and affectionate, as though nothing had happened. The truth could no longer be denied. The doctor revealed ancient records describing a vampiric entity named Mircalla, Countess Karnstein, who had lived centuries earlier and preyed upon young women in the region. Carmilla, he explained, was an anagram of Mircalla. The realization was horrifying. The woman who had been my companion and confidant was not human at all, but an undead creature sustained by draining the life of others. The general, my father, and the doctor resolved to act. They traced Carmilla's origins to the ruined Karnstein castle. There, in a hidden tomb, they found her coffin. Inside lay Carmilla, preserved and lifelike, as though merely asleep. The sight filled me with sorrow as much as terror. Despite everything, I had cared for her. With grim determination, they carried out the ancient rituals required to destroy a vampire. Carmilla's heart was pierced and her body destroyed, ending her unnatural existence. The evil that had spread through the region was finally stopped. Afterward, my health slowly returned. Strength came back into my body, and the terrible dreams faded. Yet the experience left a permanent mark on my spirit. I could never fully forget Carmilla's voice, her gaze, or the strange mixture of affection and horror she inspired. Years have passed since those events, but the memory remains vivid. I have returned to a life of normalcy, yet part of me feels forever changed. I learned that evil does not always appear monstrous. Sometimes it wears a beautiful face, speaks gently, and enters the heart before revealing its true nature. The quiet forests of Styria are peaceful once more, but I know now that darkness can hide even in the most tranquil places, waiting patiently to be welcomed inside.